welcome to another class for the English language. This is a class for Form 5 students. Okay, I call this lesson Final Leap for SPM. And then here we are going to study novel. And for this video, it is on Dear Mr. Kilmer. So now let's look at the SPM papers. The novel question is in paper 2. So the code is 1119/2. This is the list of questions from the year 2001 until the year 2019. For the latest novels, like Dear Mr. Kilmer, the questions only appear from the year 2016 to the year 2019. So before that, there were different sets of novels. Let's look at some of the questions. So for theme, one has to struggle to improve one's life and love is important in a family. So these two questions came out in the SPM examination. So when you have this type of question, you have to identify a character or more than one. So read the question or the rubrics properly. And then you have to provide 3 events to show the theme of struggling to improve one's life or to show that love is important in a family. And then remember, you must include 3 evidence or events in the story. Evidence 1, evidence 2, evidence 3, or event 1, event 2, or event 3 to support your answers. Next, we have moral values. So the questions that appeared before, an important moral value, and also another one is determine or determination. Okay, first of all, you have to identify whether the question is for only one character or more than one. Then you have to provide 3 evidence or events to show the moral value. First of all, remember that if it is an important moral value, you have to provide 3 evidence. But if the question requests you to write moral values, so it is plural, each value must have an evidence or an event. And then lastly, questions on events. They were very popular. So you have events or evidence like a problem, life-changing experience, an important decision, happy or sad event, angry, event that makes you angry, event that you liked, an important event, ending, whether it is happy or sad, memorable event or incident, and also an event that has or had a moral lesson. So first of all, you need to identify the evidence or the events or the incident and then provide 3 reasons. Suggestions to candidates. First, read the novel and understand it well. Textual evidence is always important when responding to a task. And then 2, read the rubric carefully, identify the different parts and address the task relevantly. 3, learn the details of the main or significant events in the novel so as to provide accurate and sufficient textual support. And D, be familiar with the plot, characters, and events of the story. And 5, do not reproduce memorized answers. So this is the question for SPM, the year 2016. It is on event. The following are the novels studied in the literature component in English language. So you have 3 here. Choose any one of the novels above and answer the question below. Based on the novel that you have studied, describe a scene that makes you either happy or sad. Give reasons why the scene makes you feel happy or sad with close reference to the text. So it is a scene. A scene is also an event. The event is either happy or sad. So you're supposed to choose a happy event or a sad event. And then don't forget to give reasons, 3 reasons why that event is a happy one for you. And then for SPM 2017, it is on value. Based on the novel that you have studied, write about a value that is important to one of the characters in the story. Give reasons why it is so, with close reference to the text. So the question is on value. It is only for a character. So remember that the value must be given in the answer, and then you must find the evidence. So you must find example, event 1 or evidence 1 that has the moral value above, and then another one will be event 2 that also shows the same value, and another one, event or evidence 3, that also depicts the value you have chosen. So here we have value 1, evidence 1, value 2, evidence 2, and value 3, evidence 3. Now let's look at SPM 2018. So the question, with close reference to the text, describe one problem faced by the main character. Give your opinion about the way the problem was solved. So it is a problem faced by a character. So it is an event or an evidence of the problem. And then you must write only the main character. So you must identify the problem and also the way the problem was solved. So you have to give your opinions. And then we have the last SPM paper, the year 2019. In the novel you have read, choose one character that you dislike. With close reference to the text, give reasons why you dislike him or her. So it is on character, and then it is someone that you dislike. So when you dislike somebody, they must have negative traits or negative characteristics. So you have to give the first negative trait plus the evidence or the event, and then the second negative trait or characteristic and the proof, which is the evidence or event, and then followed by the last negative trait and also the event. Let's look at the marking scheme. For this question, marks are awarded as follows. Content 10 marks, style and presentation, that is your language, will be 5 marks. So the total 15 marks. This is the band for marking questions 33, which is novel. Marks are content 10 and language 5. So how to score? The first range, the highest mark range will be 9 to 10. So remember that you have to provide detailed and well-developed textual evidence. And then you must be able to relate the characters with the evidence. And then for language, to get the highest marks, you have to be accurate, you have to be well organized, and your writing or answer must be easily understood. Let's look at the trial papers from the year 2019 or 2020. Dear students, now let's look at the trial paper. The first one is from Selangor, and this is set 1. So, in the novel you have read, choose a character who has a positive influence in your life. With cross reference to the text, give reasons how he or she has influenced you. So it must be on a character. A character has a positive influence. So you must write positive influence means they must have good personalities or characteristics or traits. So these are positive values. So you have positive characteristic, give one, and then show the evidence or the event where you can find this characteristic, and then give the second characteristic and also provide the evidence or the event. And the last one, give the third positive characteristic and the example or the evidence or event. So let's look at the draft of answer. So character is Richard Knight. And then you have 3 positive influence, which are the characteristics. So you have loving and caring for family members, respect all human beings, not prejudiced, and supportive. So you must provide the evidence or the events. Loving and caring for family members, you can write, Richard helped Angie with the household chores and helped Pa with farm work. And the notes in red means you must explain also that the mother or his mother died, an example of chores. And then number 2, respect all human beings or not being prejudiced. You can write that he signed the sympathy card for the Shermers after the tavern was vandalized. So you must also write the details of Mrs. Hanson who prepared the card and then why the tavern was vandalized. And then lastly, the third positive characteristic, supportive. The answer can be, or the evidence, Richard declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Shermers, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. So you must mention the details of Mrs. Hanson, who announced a program in the school to sell Liberty bonds to help the soldiers in the war. And then the students were asked to write essays. Remember, candidates need to write detailed evidence or events as to score more marks. This is another try paper, but it is from Selangor, the second set of questions. So here, let's look at the question. Using the details from the novel you have studied, choose a character as strong-willed in an incident and how it helped to solve his or her problem. Support your answer with close reference to the text. So we are looking at a character who is strong-willed in an incident. So character strong-willed here is also can be determined, or a person who has determination when he or she was in an incident, which is also an event. So you have to choose a character and then you have to choose the incident which shows strong will and then how it solved his or her problem. The character you can choose will be Hannah Shermer, and then this is a person who showed strong will, so the characteristic is she is a determined person. So you need to quote the evidence or the event. So here, she declined the role of Lady Liberty. Mrs. Hanson announced to the class that the school was having a program to sell Liberty bonds to support the soldiers in the war. So the best essay written by a girl and a boy, they will get to play Lady Liberty and the doughboy. So Hannah and Shermer were chosen. Then the students and parents, they were angry and protested. So Hannah declined the role, and also Richard did the same in order to support Hannah. Hannah was upset that her essay about peace made people angry. So what was the problem solved here? After Hannah declined the role of Lady Liberty, it helped her to stop the negative protests and anger from the students and also parents or people in Turtle Lake. She said that she did not want to start another war in the town. So remember, you have to mention the event, which is to decline the role of Lady Liberty, and what was the problem that was solved. This is another try paper, the third set from Selangor. Do what you believe is right and be firm with your decision. Using the details from the novel you have studied, choose a character who shows determination in an incident. Incident is an event, and how it helped to solve his or her problem. So this is the similar question as the one we did just now. Support your answer with close reference to the text. So this question is for character who showed determination. So you must show an event or an incident. You have to choose the character, choose the event or the incident, and you must mention that the person did what he believed or she believed was right and was firm in the decision. So for the question just now, let's look at the draft of the answer. This is the similar answer as the earlier paper that we discussed. And then now, this is a try paper from Kelantan. Choose any one of the novels above and answer the question. So based on the novel you have read, write about an event. So it is just an event that motivates you to become a better person. So this question is on event that motivates you to become a better person. Remember, you have to choose an event only and then give 3 reasons how it motivates you to become a better person. So you have to write reason 1, which must have a moral value, and then reason 2 with another moral value, and reason 3 with another moral value. Let's look at the draft of the answer. So the character is Richard Knight, and an event that motivates you to become a better person. So you must write that he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schirmer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. So here you must also mention about Mrs. Hanson, who announced there was a program in the school to sell Liberty bonds to help the soldiers in the war. And then the students were asked to write an essay. Then don't forget the reasons. First of all, how it motivates you. So the first reason, it showed you that you should not be prejudiced towards others, or you need to respect all human beings. Hannah Schirmer, her parents were German, but they have lived in America for many years, so they are citizens of America. Then there was a war going on between Germany and America. Other classmates and people of Turtle Lake, they were prejudiced of the Schirmers, and then they were also called Dirty Hans. And then the second reason how it motivates you is it showed you that you have to support your friend, and then you have to respect his or her for the decision that your friend made. And the last reason how it motivates you, it showed that you have to be a brave person, as the decision made by Richard made many students dislike him, and he also upset Pa. Pa said that Richard should not behave as though he was better than others. Now this is a try paper from Pulau Pinang. In the novel you have read, choose one event that you think is important. So this is an important event. With cross-reference to the text, give reasons why do you think this event is important. So it is an important event, so you must choose the event, and then definitely when the event is important, you need to give reasons. Okay, so you can write that you learn moral values, or you can give other reasons. Okay, remember here you must write 3 reasons. The answer here, the character is Richard Knight, and the important decision was he wrote a letter to Mr. Kilmer. Mrs. Hanson read the poem Trees in the class, which was written by Mr. Kilmer. Mr. Kilmer was a very famous poet, and she also mentioned that Mr. Kilmer had volunteered to join the army. So Richard found his hero and got his address in New York, and he wrote a letter to Mr. Kilmer. So the reason would be he was brave to reveal to others, or he became braver as he managed to reveal to others that he wrote poems. He told his family members, Pa, Gus, and Angie, and he also showed Mr. Kilmer's letter to Mrs. Hanson, his English teacher, and showed her his poems. And then he became more confident. He read his poem in class, although he knew that his classmates would not agree with him. And then he also showed determination to make his dream come true, which was to be a poet like Mr. Kilmer. Mr. Kilmer, remember that you have to write details about how Mr. Kilmer encouraged Richard and complimented his poems. He also offered suggestions for his poem, and he said that Richard will be the next generation of poets. Although Mr. Kilmer died, Richard's poem in remembrance of Mr. Kilmer was published in the local newspaper, and after that he continued to contribute his poems to the papers. So finally his dream to become a poet came true. Next, let's look at the try paper from Pahang. Based on the novel that you have studied, write about an event that upsets you. Give reasons why it is so. Support your answer with close reference to the text. So you must write an event that upsets you. So choose one event only, and then what upsets you supposed to be negative things, or you can write about negative values. So you need to provide 3 reasons and 3 evidence. Let's look at the answer. So we are looking at event, one event that upset you. So you can write, it is about students and parents who were upset and angry that Hannah Shermer was chosen to play Lady Liberty. So Hannah had to decline the role, and Richard also declined his role to support Hannah. Then remember that you need to provide details, such as how Mrs. Hanson informed the class about the school program to sell Liberty bonds to help support the war. Students had to write an essay, and the best essays from a boy and a girl would be chosen. The girl would play Lady Liberty and the boy, the doughboy. Hannah and Richard won in this program. And then you must write the reasons why this event upsets you. First, school children and people of Turtle Lake were treating the Shermers unfairly. They were prejudiced towards them because they were Germans. But the Shermers had lived in the town many years, and they were American citizens. Second, you can write that you were upset because Hannah's essay was about peace, but it made people angry, and she had to decline the role of Lady Liberty. She wrote that the real enemy was not Germany or other countries, but war itself. And then the third reason, you can write that Richard and Hannah won fair and square, as they wrote the best essays, but the roles were given to others. Next, we have the try paper from Terengganu. With close reference to the text, describe an important decision made by a character and how it changed his or her life. Give your opinion about the decision made by the character. So here, you must write an event. In the event, there must be an important decision made. So it must be by a character and how it changed his or her life. So choose a character, choose the event with the important decision, and give 3 reasons. Here the character that we are going to write will be Richard Knight. So the important decision is his decision to write a letter to Mr. Kilmer. And then here you must explain about Mrs. Hanson, who read Mr. Kilmer's poem in class, and then how she mentioned that Mr. Kilmer had volunteered to join the army. And then Richard, who loved writing poetry, found his hero in Mr. Kilmer. So these are the changes in his life. First, he became brave, and then second, he was more confident, and he was determined to make his dream come true. So let's look at the first one. He became brave because he revealed to others that he wrote poems. He told his family members, Pa, Gus, and Angie, and he even showed Mr. Kilmer's letter to Mrs. Hanson, his English teacher, and he also showed her his poems. And next, he became more confident because he was able to read his poem in class, although he knew that his classmates would not agree with him. And then he showed more determination to make his dream come true, which is to be a poet like Mr. Kilmer. So Mr. Kilmer encouraged him and complimented his poems. He also offered suggestions for his poem, and then he told Richard that he would be the next generation of poets. Although Mr. Kilmer died in the war, Richard's poem in remembrance of Mr. Kilmer was published in the local newspaper, and after that he continued to contribute poems to the paper. So his dream to become a poet finally came true. This is the try paper from Malacca. So the question, bravery is to stand up for what you believe in. So based on the novel that you have studied, write about an event related to the above statement. We cross-reference to the text how this statement can relate to one of the characters in the novel. So here it is an event that showed bravery. So you must choose only one character. So the character was brave to stand up for what he believed in. Okay, so choose a character, choose the event, and then the event must be about the character who was brave to stand up. Okay, then you have to provide the reasons. For the question, you can choose the answer, and then the character is Richard Knight. So remember, it is an event. So brave to stand up for what you believe in. So it will be he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schirmer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. And then remember, you have to mention about Mrs. Hanson, who announced about a program to sell Liberty bonds in the class. Okay, you have to write the details, like the Liberty bonds program is to help the soldiers in the war, and then the students had to write an essay, and a boy and a girl with the best essays will be chosen to play the doughboy and Lady Liberty. And the reasons for choosing this event is because it showed you that you should not be prejudiced towards others, or you need to respect all human beings. Hannah Schirmer, her parents were Germans, but they lived in America for many years, and there was a war going on between Germany and America. So other classmates and people of Turtle Lake, they were prejudiced of the Schirmers. They even called them Dirty Huns. Number 2, this is an important event because it showed you that you have to support your friend and respect him or her for the decision that he or she made. And lastly, it showed you that you have to be brave, as his decision, which was to decline the role of the doughboy, had made many students dislike him, and he also upset Pa. Pa said that Richard should not behave as though he was better than others. This is the question from Try Paper Sarawak. Based on the novel that you have studied, what do you like or dislike about the plot? So the plot is the storyline, and then support your answer with close reference to the text. So this is the plot, and then whether you like or disliked. So in the plot, there are a lot of events. So here you have to choose 3 events and then give your reasons for liking or disliking. Let's look at the plot. So you can write first, you liked. So what is the plot? The plot is when Richard purposely missed shooting a buck during a hunting trip with his father, Pa, and brother Gus. This is because he did not like killing animals. So you can mention the details like it was winter and how they went on a hunting trip. So you must write the reason. You can say that I liked the part or the event as he showed that he was a kind person who did not like to harm animals. And then another plot that you like would be when Richard signed a sympathy card for the Schirmers after their tavern was vandalized. So you must mention why the tavern was vandalized, because there was a war going on between Germany and America. And then you must also write the details of how Mrs. Hanson prepared the card for the class. Here you like it because he showed that he respected all human beings and he was not prejudiced. And then the last part that you like will be when he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schirmer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. Remember that you have to provide details. So please write about Mrs. Hanson, who announced about a program to sell Liberty bonds, and provided other details like they have to write essay, the students have to write essay, and then the best essay will be chosen from a boy and a girl, and then they will get to play the role of Lady Liberty and the doughboy. So here you like this part because you knew or you understand that Richard was a supportive friend to Hannah. This is a question from MRSM. With close reference to the text, write about the important traits. So here traits are characteristics shown by one of the characters. Explain how these traits help the character to achieve his or her goals. So here remember you have to write a character and then important traits. So they are characteristics. So choose a character and write the character 1 and evidence 1, and then how he achieved his or her goal. So remember characteristic 1 and then evidence or event 1, characteristic 2 and give another evidence, and the last one characteristic 3 and then give an evidence. Here we are going to choose Richard Knight. So there are important traits: loving and caring for family members, respect for all human beings, not being prejudiced, and a supportive friend. So first, you can write that he showed love and care for his family members because he wanted to be a good brother or son. The evidence would be he helped Angie with the household chores and helped Pa with farm work. And then don't forget the details like how the mother died when he was young, and then you can give example of the chores. And then the second one is the important trait of being able to show respect to all human beings, or he was not prejudiced. The evidence would be when he signed a sympathy card for the Shermans after their tavern was vandalized. Here, please write the details of the war which is going on between Germany and America, and then why the tavern was vandalized. And then you can also write how Mrs. Hanson had prepared the card for the class. And the last is being a supportive friend. Here, the event is he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Shermer, who had declined the role of Lady Liberty. And again here you must mention about Mrs. Hanson, who announced about a school program to sell Liberty bonds to help the soldiers in the war. And then the student had to write essay. And the best essay from a boy and a girl will be chosen, and they could play the role of Lady Liberty and the doughboy. Here, the first is to achieve his goal to be a responsible or caring and supportive brother and son. Second one, to show that he respected all human beings. And then the last one is to show that he was a good friend to Hannah. This is a question from Try Paper from Negeri Sembilan. With cross-reference to the text, write about one character who has helped make someone's life better. Support your answer with accurate details from the novel of your choice. So here, you have to choose a character who helped make someone's life better. So choose the character and then provide 3 evidence or events of being helpful to another person. Let's look at the draft for the answer. Character you're going to choose will be Richard Knight, and then help make someone's life better, that someone is Hannah Shermer. So the events or evidence, the first one is the signing of the sympathy card for the Shermers. This happened after their tavern was vandalized. So again, you must mention why the tavern was vandalized, and then how Mrs. Hanson prepared the card, and then you can also write about Richard, who sent the card to the Shermers himself, and how Hannah was not pleased and rejected the card at first, but in the end she accepted it after Richard told her that it was for her parents. So here, he helped her by showing her that he respected her as a friend. And then the second answer is Mrs. Hanson informed the class that there was a program to sell Liberty bonds to support the soldiers in the war. And then the students had to write an essay. So how we can help the war effort right here in Turtle Lake. The best essay for a boy and a girl would be chosen, and then they could play the role of the doughboy and Lady Liberty. And Richard and Hannah won. Hannah read her essay in class, but Richard was the only one who clapped for her. So here it shows that Richard supported Hannah. So he showed Hannah that there was someone that was on her side. And the last answer would be the event is he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schumer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. So he made Hannah's life better because Hannah knew that she had a good friend in Richard Knight. Let's look at the answer. So the character we are going to choose is Richard Knight. So you have to write what he did which was right, not what was easy. So it is the first one. What was right is to love and care for his family members after his mother died when he was young. Okay, the event will be he helped Angie with the household chores, and also he helped Pa with the farm work. So here you must mention that his mother died when he was young, and then give examples of the chores he did. And then number 2, he did what was right was he respected all human beings, or he was not prejudiced. The event will be he signed a sympathy card for the Schumer after their tavern was vandalized. And then you must write why the tavern was vandalized, and then how Mrs. Hanson had prepared the card for the class. And lastly, he did what was right was to be a supportive friend. The event will be he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schumer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. So here again you must mention about how Mrs. Hanson announced about the program to sell Liberty bonds in the school. Now this is a try paper from Sabah. Friendship is selfless love, care and respect. Based on the above, write about a character who shows selfless love to his or her friends. Support your answer with close reference to the text. So it must be a character who showed friendship or selfless love. So this is more on being a good friend. So choose a character who showed friendship, and then you must provide 3 evidence or events. Let's look at the draft for the answer. So definitely character is Richard Knight, and then the friendship is with Hannah Schumer. So there are 3 evidence here. First of all, he signed a sympathy card for the Schumers after their tavern was vandalized. So again, mention why the tavern was vandalized and how Mrs. Hanson had prepared the card for the class. And then Richard sent the card to the Schumers, but Hannah was not pleased and rejected the card at first. But in the end, she reluctantly accepted it after Richard said that it was for her parents. So here he showed to Hannah that he was a friend because he respected all his classmates. Okay, number 2, the second event, Mrs. Hanson informed the class that there was a program to sell Liberty bonds to support the soldiers in the war. The students had to write an essay, how we can help the war effort right here in Turtle Lake. So the best essay from a boy and a girl, they could play the doughboy and Lady Liberty. So Richard and Hannah won. Hannah read her essay in class, but Richard was the only one who clapped for her. So this is a form of friendship. And then the last part will be he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schumer because Hannah also had declined the role of Lady Liberty. So this is called selfless love, care and respect for a friend. Let's move on to the next try paper. So this is from Johor. It is set 1. So here, bravery shines when one's courage is put to test. Using the details from the novel you have studied, choose a character that shows bravery. Give your opinion on how it helped to solve his or her problem. Support your answer with close reference to the text. So the question about bravery seems to be a favorite question. So this is again a character. You have to choose a character who showed bravery, and then how it helped to solve his or her problem. So you must write examples of bravery in the evidence or the events. For this question, remember that there must be a problem that was solved. So definitely the best character to choose is Hannah Schirmer. So you must remember that there must be bravery or courage. The event is she declined the role of Lady Liberty. Remember that you have to write details. Example, Mrs. Hanson announced to the class that the school was having a program to sell Liberty bonds to support the soldiers in the war. So the best essays by a girl and a boy, they would play Lady Liberty and the Doughboy. So Hannah and Richard were chosen. After that, students and parents, they were angry and protested. Hannah then declined the role, and also Richard did the same thing to support Hannah. Hannah was upset that her essay about peace made people angry. So what was the problem solved? After she declined the role of Lady Liberty, it helped her to stop the negative protests or to reduce the anger from the students and also the parents or the people in Turtle Lake. She told Richard that she did not want to start another war in the town. Next, we have another set of questions from Johor. So this is set 2. It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. So based on the novel that you have read, how far is this true? Give your opinions about the statement and support your answer with close reference to the text. So this is about a character who is courageous or brave. And then he grew up to become who he really was. Okay, choose a character. So the character must be courageous or showed bravery. So you must give 3 evidence or events. For this question, definitely we are going to choose Richard Knight. So the person who showed courage to grow up and then to be who you really are. So definitely when you grow up, you'll be mature and wise. So here the first is he wanted to be a good brother to his sister and also a good son. So the event is he helped Angie with her household chores and helped Pa with farm work. So remember, you must mention that his mother died when he was young, and also do give examples of the chores. Okay, next, he also showed respect for all human beings, or he was not prejudiced. Example would be, or the event, he signed the sympathy card for the Shermans after their tavern was vandalized. So here you must mention why the tavern was vandalized, because the Shermans were Germans. And then you must also mention that Mrs. Hanson prepared the card for the class. And then the last is he was supportive of his friend. He declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Schirmer, who had declined the role of Lady Liberty. Here also you must mention what happened earlier where Mrs. Hanson announced to the class that there was a program to sell Liberty bonds in the school. So the money from the selling of the bonds will help the soldiers in the war. And then for the program, the students had to write an essay. This is another trial paper from Johor. So this is the third question. Based on the novel above, describe an important decision made by the main character and how it affects the main character in the story. Give your opinion on how making the right decision helps you to achieve your goal in life. So it is an event. You must choose the important decision made by the main character and how it affected him or her. So choose the event, choose the character, and write the effects. Here you have the character Richard Knight. And then the important decision was he decided to write a letter to Mr. Kilmer. Mrs. Hanson read a poem by Mr. Kilmer in class, Trees, and told the class that the famous poet had volunteered to join the army to fight in the war. Mr. Kilmer replied his letter and then encouraged him to tell others about his passion and to continue writing poems. So the effects on the character will be he became brave because he told his family members, Pa, Angie, and Gus about him writing poetry. And he also told Mrs. Hanson. And then the second effect is he gained more confidence, or he was confident. He was able to read his poem in the class. And then the last one is he wrote more poems and sent them to Mr. Kilmer, despite Pa and Gus who discouraged him. So he showed more determination. And then remember, the sentences in blue is the final or the last paragraph where you have to write. Making the right decision can make me achieve my dream, as the decision will lead me to do good things or work hard to make my dream come true. This is the fourth set of the trial paper from Johor. So for this question, it takes courage to grow and become a better person. So based on the novel that you read, how far is this true? Support your answer with close reference to the text. So this is about character who was courageous or brave, and then he became a better person. So you have to choose a character and then give 3 evidence or events. So let's look at the draft. You can write about Richard Knight. Remember that it must be a character who showed courage to grow and became better. So here, the first one is he respect all human beings, or he was not prejudiced. Example or the evidence is he signed a sympathy card for the Shermers. Then this is the same answer as we have discussed earlier too. Their tavern was vandalized, and then you must mention why the tavern was vandalized, and then you must also mention about Mrs. Hanson prepared the card for the class. And then the second, he was also courageous in supporting a friend. So he declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Shermer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. And here again you must mention about Mrs. Hanson, who had announced about a program to sell Liberty bonds in the school to help the soldiers. Okay, the money is supposed to support the soldiers in the war. And then in the program, the student had to write an essay. And then the last part, the courage was to be brave in revealing to others that he wrote poems. The first one is he told his family. And then you can also mention, or you can mention, he told Mrs. Hanson about his poetry writing and he read his poem in class. This is the trial paper from Perak. The most courageous act is to stand up for what you believe in. With close reference to the novel, discuss how this attitude is portrayed by the main character. Would you have done the same? So explain why. So the question is on character, and the character is most courageous or brave, and the character stood up for what he or she believed in. So you have to choose a character who shows courage or bravery, and then you have to provide 3 events or evidence. So you have event 1 to show bravery, event 2 that shows bravery, and event 3 that also shows bravery or courage. Here you can choose the character Richard Knight. So the determination, which is standing up for what you believe in, this is characteristic. So he believed that all people should be respected, all people should not be prejudiced. Remember that you have to give 3 evidence or events. So the first one is he signed a sympathy card for the Shermers after their tavern was vandalized. And then please provide the details why the tavern was vandalized. Because the Shermers, they were Germans. And then you must also mention that Mrs. Hanson prepared the card for the class. Next, you must also write that Richard volunteered to deliver the card to the Shermers, and then on the way, he fought off bullies, who were Abner and Harry. He was stopped on the way back from school. And then the last event or evidence is he also declined the role of the doughboy to support Hannah Shermer, who declined the role of Lady Liberty. And here remember that you must mention about Mrs. Hanson, who announced there was a program in school to sell Liberty bonds to help the soldiers in the war. And then the students were asked to write an essay. And then the last part, the one in blue, remember that you must write this because it is part of the question. So you will write, I will do the same things that Richard did, as we should stand up for what we believe in, especially when we know we are doing the right thing. To the students who are going to sit for SPM examination next week, so this is the final leap for SPM, and hopefully you will benefit from this sharing. So thank you. I'm Madam Gan. Best of luck in your exam. Bye bye.